If you have ever watched a YouTube video with a photographer showing a lighting tutorial and thought, well, I bet I could do that if I had a million lights just like they do, well, this video is for you because I'm going to show you how to make a really great refined portrait setup that you can use for just about any kind of a portrait or headshot or modeling portfolio with just one light. Welcome back to Adorama TV. My name is Gary Hughes, and with me today is the wonderful Chloe as our model, and my buddy Wayne Denny, who is running the camera for us today. And what I want to do is show you a technique that not only can you use, but I use it as a working professional in my studio on an almost daily basis. And that is how to create a great dynamic portrait with just one light. So we're gonna break it down and show you how I built it one thing at a time, and then gonna use the technique to create a really, really awesome portrait at the end. And hopefully you'll think it's pretty cool too. Don't forget to check the description for all of the gear that we're gonna be using in this video, and you can find links there to Adorama and where you can get it. Let's get started. So I've got the light position right where I want it, in a way that's going to take a single light source and cause it to be able to do a lot of heavy lifting. And I'm using, you might have guessed already, bounce flash. And so I'm going to take this Flashpoint XPLOR 600 Pro TTL, and I'm going to bounce it off of this big white wall. And you might look at that and say, well, Gary, I don't have a big white wall. And that's totally fine, because you could use big piece of foam core, you could use a reflector, you could use like the Westcott X-Drop or a piece of white seamless paper, or even a shower curtain. Anything large and neutral colored you can turn into a giant window. And that's exactly what the idea is here. The way that I position this light is I'm going to aim it at a spot on the wall that I wish there was a window. And then I'm going to position my subject in accordance with where that imaginary window is. And so hopefully I'll be able to pop up some kind of a lighting diagram on the screen somewhere for you to check out. But that's what's in my head when I do this. Where would I want the window to be? So I've pointed this at the spot where I want the window to be, and I've metered it, and I'll put the camera settings up on the screen for you also so you can check those out. And now I'm going to take my first test shot. And what you're going to see is a really soft, natural looking light that's going to not only light Chloe, but it's going to fill up the room, like the background behind her, and give us a very sort of soft window light kind of a feel. All right, you ready, Chloe? Here we go. I'm going to just not do anything in particular. Just be kind of conscious that that light that's lighting your face is coming from your left-hand side, all right? So here we go. Boom. All right. So you can see on the screen here that we've got a really nice direction and quality to the light, and that we've got really soft shadows, and that the background is pretty nicely evenly lit also. And in this case, I've got a gigantic white room, and that's by design. I painted it this way so that I could bounce light around and get a lot of heavy lifting done with minimal lighting. But in this case, Chloe's got these incredible bone structure that I'd like to show the lines of her face and how light can shape that. And I really want to show off sort of my lighting sometimes to my clients. And so I'm going to use negative fill to control some of those shadows. And just a quick aside on that negative fill, a lot of people will speak about it as if using something like a piece of black fabric or the dark side of a V-flat or a black reflector is going to eat up the light. And that's not exactly how it works. What's going to happen is I'm going to stop the light that would be bouncing off this white wall on the other side. I'm going to put something in between Chloe and that light that would be bouncing back. And we're going to get a little more contrast and a little more depth in the shadows. Let me show you. All right. All right, there. So let's grab a quick shot with that negative fill. And by the way, that is the glow reflector panel. And if you like that, just go into the description and get one, because whenever anybody sees these and finds out they're only 59 bucks and they come with like 3 different fabrics and they're totally articulating, like they sell out of them really fast, they go on back order. So if you want one, go grab one real quick. But let's go see what this light looks like with the negative fill. All right, so if you look at the screen and you're able to see these images side by side, you're gonna right away see a big difference in the contrast. And I really like not only how the light shapes Chloe's face a little bit more, but how I have also managed to darken down the light on her body, making her face the brightest thing in the image in this particular composition. So right away, I've got one inexpensive light modifier and a flash bouncing off of a big white surface, and I've already started to create something that's starting to look really cool. So the next thing I want to do is I want to create a little more drama by turning this into a low-key image. So I'm going to roll in a dark gray canvas backdrop, and I'm going to use that to sort of match the key of the image because Chloe's kind of got like autumn skin tones and a dark top on. And so I'm going to make her face stand out even a little bit more by making everything around her darker into a low-key image. I guess I gotta stop moving so weird. I feel like I'm doing like this weird Willy Wonka prance around the place. All right. All right, so let's see what we got going with this dark background, what kind of portrait this is being up to be. All right, I really, really like this now that we've even carved Chloe out a little bit more from this dark background, but I think it's still missing a little bit of separation, a little bit of punch. So what I'm gonna do is, rather than adding a whole nother light and a whole nother softbox or another light on the background to get separation, I'm gonna bring in another reflector panel that's silver, and I'm going to use that to throw a little bit of light in really sharply into the back edge of the photo. So check that out. This is another glow reflector panel with the silver material. These things come with like black, white, gold, silver, and then there's this silver like this one. This is the only one I could find that's got a bunch of holes in it, and I think it's meant to be used outside in case there's a breeze or something. It's less likely to get knocked over in the wind. And that's it's a pretty cool one. All right, ready, Chloe? Let's do another one. And let's see if we got what we wanted out of that image. I'm gonna do that one more time, Chloe. There we go. All right, perfect. So if you take that image with and without the reflector, you're gonna see a couple of really cool things here. Let me zoom in on the screenshot. Not only do you have a really great definition of light on Chloe's shoulder, but you also have a really great little edge light now on her jawline. So you've got this much more dynamic looking portrait because there's just a kiss of separation coming from the back corner of the image opposite where that main light is coming from. And this is exactly the level of an edge light that I really love in an image. Just a little tiny bit that adds that separation and really adds a lot to the image. So now that we've got our main light, we've got our fill, we've got our background, I want to actually do something else to make this portrait a little more dynamic. So I'm going to add in, and yes, here come the eye rolls. I'm going to add in a fan into this, and not some expensive fan. It's any old fan. This is like a $10 fan that I got from Target, although there are plenty of options out there. I want to get a little movement. Whenever I'm doing a portrait, I always ask myself, what are some really interesting things about my subject that I can make look more interesting? And Chloe's got really thick, wavy, beautiful hair that she spent forever straightening. And so I'd love to get a little bit of movement, just a little motion to create a little more sort of a dynamic feeling to the image. Then I'm going to pose, direct, and create our final portrait. Okay, so let's get going. Chloe, here comes the fan. Are you ready? All right. Let's start on low just to make sure we got the angle right. We do. And then we're going to go up one. We probably won't go all the way. This is power setting number 2. There. Okay, we got it moving. It's moving. Okay, so Chloe, I've got the fan is moving this part of your hair right here, beautiful, these sort of like bangs at the top, and the bottom is fairly static. So just move those out a tiny bit so we create this kind of angle. That's perfect, exactly what we wanted. So now I'm gonna have you do is I'm gonna zoom into a kind of a close-up head and shoulders here. I want you to bring your hands up a little bit and then roll those shoulders nice and straight. And then turn your chin to your shoulder here. That's awesome. And so I want you to reach for me a little bit with that chin and then down just a little bit. And let's see. Now add like 4.5% of a smile into the corners of your mouth there. Can you just, there we go. I'm gonna make sure that looks perfect. I want you to bring this around a little bit more, the hair on your right side, but kind of keep it over the top of your ear just a little bit so I can see what that edge light is really doing on your jawline. That is everything. Thank you so much. All right, straight, loose shoulders, chin down a touch, and just, actually, let's take just that. Now, I want you to add that small smile in the corners of your mouth and let it invade the bottoms of your eyes. Just let it push in there a little bit, and now crunch up that right there just a little bit, and then leaning in a little more, turn this way just a touch, push the smile 3% harder, boom. So we've got some really great direction of light. We've got moving hair that's really dynamic. And we've got a portrait where we're just using one light bouncing off a wall and a couple of inexpensive modifiers that look a lot more refined than what we're doing. And this is not an expensive setup at all. So now what I want to do is also show you one more thing. And this is cool about when you bounce, that light hits the surface and it spreads out. So unlike if we were using a small softbox or modifier closer to our subject, this light is spreading out really nicely. It's lighting the background and is pretty much lighting Chloe from head to toe. So you could move out and even get a 3/4 or even a full-length portrait if you wanted to. So I'm going to move back a little bit and I'm going to create just a slightly different portrait. Now, you could use this for just about anything: model portfolios, business portraits, headshots. This is a very, very easy to use recipe that can be used for a ton of different purposes. All right, there we go. So now I've got kind of a 3/4 length shot going. All right, Chloe, if you would just bring your hands up almost like you got a clutch, and then drop your shoulders into it, and then down this way, bring your face over a little bit more into that light there. All right, and now chin down just a touch. Pull your hair a little bit more just off your neck there. Thank you, that's awesome. All right, and now lean into it. Bring your chin down this way a little bit and add that small smile into the corners of your mouth. That's fantastic. A little more left. There it is. Chin up into that light a little bit more. Push that smudge a tiny bit more. Good. And now I want you to try slightly different pose. Let's have you bend that left knee a little bit more. Take that hip out and then give me something where you're kind of like pulling over. Yeah, you got exactly like that. But let me see, can you pull your sleeve up a little tiny bit so I can see your fingertips? There it is. Oh, yeah. That's awesome. One of those things I always like to remember in a portrait is that it's important for people to have all their limbs. I think that's important. All right. And this way, just a little bit more into that light. Bring your chin and the shoulder a little closer together, and then reach for me a little bit like you're trying. You ever have to unlock your phone with your nose because your hands are wet or something or too cold? Like reach like you're trying. Yeah, perfect. And then add a touch more smile. Pull your shoulders forward, and that like makes your collarbone stick out, which actually can be really cool. And then a tiny bit more smile, a little more left. And we got it. And that is it. So there it is. It's as simple as that. Large, neutral colored surface, whatever you can find, and bouncing a light off of it, pretending that you're creating a window, and then position your subject accordingly. And then you can use some very inexpensive tools to shape that light. You could use anything, like whether you get a sort of finished product like a glow panel reflector, or you use something like a V-flat, or you could use aluminum foil on a science fair poster board. You could use just about anything to get this done. So that's how you create an incredibly expensive looking portrait with not very expensive looking lighting equipment. Hopefully you're able to take some of that and do something awesome with it. And I thank you for tuning in to this video. And don't forget to like and subscribe to Adorama's YouTube channel here, because they put out a lot of educational videos and we want them to keep doing it. Hit me up in the comments if you have any questions. I'll try my very best to give you those answers if I have them. And if not, that's fine. I'll still try anyway. Check the description for links to any and all the gear that I use here today, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.